Ever since I was a kid, I've had a huge fascination with Greek mythology. And really, who doesn't? I mean, the Greeks gave us some of the best stories of literary history. Heroes, monsters, epic journeys, angry gods, it has everything. And what got me interested was the movie Clash of the Titans. Not that awful remake, the original 1981 film. Though not entirely accurate to the original story, it's still a great film and I'd highly recommend it as a good introduction to Greek mythology. At least in movie form. So how do you think I felt when I discovered Clash of the Titans? A Canadian show about a bunch of kids who go on adventures based on stories from mythology. Really? You're gonna take Greek mythology and dumb it down for kids? Isn't it bad enough I had to sit through that awful Clash of the Titans remake, and now this shit? Then I ended up liking it. We live in a strange world. So the plot of this show is the Titan Kronos escapes from his prison in Hades and vows revenge on the gods that imprisoned him. So Hera sends out Hermes to find 7 descendants of Greek heroes to stop him. There's Jay, descendant of Jason, Atlanta, descendant of Artemis, Harry, descendant of Hercules, Archie, descendant of Achilles, Teresa, descendant of Theseus, Odie, descendant of Odysseus, somehow, and finally Neil, descendant of Narcissus.
I like that look on you, Neil.
That's because I look good in everything. Oh, being a supermodel is hard work.
Neil is the least useful of the group.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Well, I shouldn't say that, because each of them has a special talent or power that's supposed to be based on their respective ancestors. Jason led the Argonauts to find the Golden Fleece, so Jay has a natural sense of leadership. Harry is super strong because he's the descendant of Hercules. I don't think I need to explain Hercules to anyone. Archie has invulnerability, just like Achilles. And Odysseus was known for his intelligence and problem solving, so Odie is the smart one. However, the rest of the team are a bit confusing. Neil is the descendant of Narcissus, who is known for his good looks and being, well, narcissistic. That's where the word comes from. But Neil's power is being lucky. Well, I suppose being born with good looks is lucky, but it's a bit of a stretch. Then again, Narcissus was known for staring at his reflection for so long that he died, so I guess they had to come up with something. Atlanta's power is super speed. Now, she's supposed to be the descendant of Artemis, goddess of the hunt. Not necessarily known for her super speed, but since her name is Atlanta, this is obviously a reference to Atalantia, who was also a hunter and known for her speed, because she challenged all of her male suitors to a race and would only marry the one who would beat her, until one got the assistance of Aphrodite, who helped him by... No! Sorry, back on topic. But then there's Teresa. She's psychic. She's descendant of Theseus, who was known for a lot of things. Probably most famous was slaying the Minotaur. Granted, it's been a while since I've dug into his history, but I don't recall anything about psychic powers. Then again, all of these characters were warriors in one way or another, so I guess they had to throw some variety in there somehow. So we have a pretty solid team here. You got your leader, your brains, your brawn, your token girl, the team asshole, and your obvious couple. Now, about these two. You see, sometimes in my videos I'd criticize a lot of love interest subplots because they seem forced or just plain unnecessary. However, this is one of the few I actually believed in. And here's why. Jay and Atlanta were the first two to show up in episode 1. Archie and Teresa didn't show up until episode 2, so the writers could have paired them up respectively, but they didn't. Instead, they gave Archie and Atlanta extended time of interaction throughout the series, sometimes being competitive, but eventually they grew close, started being awkward around each other, and getting worried when the other one got hurt. And it wasn't until late into season 2 when it happened. You see, Archie is afraid of water. Achilles was known for his invulnerability because he was dipped up to his ankle in the river Styx as a baby, making that his one vulnerable spot, hence where we get the term Achilles' heel from. So Archie having a fear of water is brilliant writing, but I digress. So Atlanta decides to help him get over his fear. But then Archie has a moment of realization.
Archie, you're...
Swimming!
Yeah, like you've been swimming.
All my life.
But how?
Yes, I have a good teacher. It's incredible, isn't it? We should have had this swim date ages ago.
Date?
Yeah, we're here, together, the two of us. What would you call it?
I don't know. Friends. Hanging out? What?
With all the dangers we face, do you think we can afford to not be honest with each other?
In other words, oh shit! We can die trying to save the world. Maybe we shouldn't fool around so much. At first, Atlanta doesn't respond well to it, but shortly after, Archie gets into trouble, and she realizes, oh, he's right. We could die trying to save the world. And, well, the rest kind of writes itself. Today's vocabulary word is... development. Writers of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I hope you're watching. Okay, time to talk about the rest of the show. Let's get some of the more obvious stuff out of the way first, like the character design. There's something about it that bothers me, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I think there are too many angles and sometimes a somewhat over-exaggerated feature in the face. Overall, it feels like a first draft that was never tweaked. I don't know, maybe it's just me. So the gods summon these kids to their new home disguised as a high school in Canada. Yes, not only was this show made in Canada, it takes place in Canada. So the Greek gods left Greece to set up their new base in Canada. I'm not saying it's a bad location, it just seems so arbitrary. Like, of all the places in the world, the gods go to Canada? Maybe their maple syrup is that good. They stay in a nearby dorm where the goddess Athena is their guardian, who I really wish they gave more focus to.
Would you like some toast?
Yeah, sure.
I thought you were a goddess of war. I was expecting you to be mean, not making us breakfast.
Don't be silly. I love to cook. Toast?
While we're at it, the school seems vacant most of the time. I think there are supposed to be other students, but you barely ever see them. Kinda makes this big school in the middle of this city a wee bit suspicious. Okay, time to talk about the show's villain.
Kronos, master of all time!
Kronos is such a fun villain. First of all, just look at him. That suit, that evil beard, the shit-eating grin with the crazed eyes. He is pure evil, and he reminds you of it every time he shows up.
Tomorrow will bring the dawn of a new era, and those that live through it will serve me. Yeah, who am I kidding? No one's going to live through it. No one.
Hey, who doesn't love a good over-the-top villain, am I right?
I'm not going to a senior prom, Magnon. I'm going to rule the world. I need something that says, kneel before me, with a hint of, obey my every command. Yes. Perfect.
He's vowed revenge against the gods for locking him in Hades for 4,000 years. And all for just killing his father and trying to take over the world. Drama. But the kids have been prophesized to stop him, so he manipulates characters from mythology into fighting them. Which does beg the question why he doesn't just take care of them himself. Isn't he an all-powerful god? Why doesn't he just squish them already? They're mortals. But no, in true cartoon villain fashion, he just messes around. He even admits it at one point.
I should have just destroyed him when I had the chance. But no, I had to be greedy, elaborate, turned it into a sport. Well, what am I going to do? I am a god after all.
I guess that's the problem with writing characters that are gods. You just assume they can literally do anything they want, but it's not always that simple. This was even brought up once in the show, which led to probably one of its funniest moments.
You know, before I met you guys, I was under the impression the gods knew everything.
You were misinformed.
So you can't help us find your husband Zeus?
No.
Can't you just wave your hand and make him appear?
No.
Sheesh, you're a god, and you can't do anything?
Uh-oh.
I can do that.
I might have crossed the line a little bit there.
But I'll say this about the show, it does not mess around. Sometimes it'll shamelessly show violence or disturbing content. There's one episode where Kronos needs to take some of Teresa's blood, and he does it! Hell, there's an episode where Jay gets mortally wounded and dies. Sure, his soul gets rescued from the underworld, but it's still treated like a real death. I really respect a show that's not afraid to put its characters in legitimate danger. While we're on the subject of the underworld, the afterlife of Greek mythology is pretty messed up. Unless you are a hero or someone of great significance, you're pretty much screwed.
I sentence you to eternity in Tartarus.
So of course you got all the familiar characters from mythology in this show, and many are regular characters. Hera, Athena, Chiron, Ares, Artemis, Hephaestus, Hermes. Each of them help out the team and sometimes even act as mentors. But each episode will usually feature another character, and oftentimes they're one of the lesser known ones. The writers of this show really knew their stuff. Sometimes they'll even take a few liberties, like give them a quirk or conform them to modern society. In one episode, they face Eris, the goddess of chaos, and they make her an anarchistic punk. That was pretty clever. They also meet her arch-nemesis Harmonia, the goddess of harmony, who's a smooth-talking radio DJ.
Listen to the voice of harmony, my children. Let's all just chill. Fighting never solves anything. Give peace a chance.
I'd explain why she's a talking snake, but it would take too long. Kinda messed up, too. In another episode, they meet Pan, who was made into a tree-hugging hippie type. They show Fortuna, the goddess of fortune, working in Las Vegas. And there's an episode about Eros, better known as Cupid, and they portray him and his wife Psyche as a lovey-dovey middle-aged couple. But you know, there seems to be one major character missing from this show. Perseus! The main character from Clash of the Titans, the story that the title of this show is a pun of. Would have been nice if there was an 8th member of the team that was his descendant. Well, at the very least, in one episode they mention him. However, there's another episode that features Medusa. You know, the monster Perseus slayed in the Clash of the Titans story. How the hell do they acknowledge his existence but completely ignore the story's continuity? I can't believe that they... Nerd! Again, I'm sorry, I just really love this stuff. In one episode, they find Pandora's box, which once contained all the world's diseases and negative feelings. After opening it, they meet the Spirit of Hope, which they portray as an optimistic little girl. They also accidentally release a disease that's been left in the box, which ends up infecting some of the team.
Archie!
Atlanta?
Archie!
How do you feel?
Archie, 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 Archie!
Apparently it's a mental illness. You know, I do love how the monsters look in this show. Check out the new design for the Minotaur.
Atlanta, where are you?
Oh, I'm just over here. With the Minotaur!
But one of my favorite designs was for Thanatos, the god of death. He has two forms, a human form that looks like an unassuming middle-aged man that might seem a little creepy, and his true form.
To be young again. You're just itching to take on the world. But in truth, there's so much you still don't know.
But some liberties were taken that were not so great. Let's talk about Zeus. Yes, this is Zeus. The leader of the gods is the janitor of the school. I guess something like this would happen since Hera seems to be in charge now. You see, Zeus used to do some pretty messed up things that would piss her off. And I'm not even gonna get into that. I could dedicate a whole video to his debauchery. Apparently his powers have been drained, which is why he looks like this. They do kind of explain how it happened, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense that he just lose all his powers like that. Then there's Hades and Persephone. They also made them a lovey-dovey couple.
Hades, my love, I just came for the farewell party.
No. Persephone was kidnapped by Hades and forced to marry him. Unless this is the world's worst case of Stockholm Syndrome, I ain't buying it. Though I do like that they gave Persephone sort of a freaky bipolar personality. Also that they didn't make Hades the main bad guy, because he's really not a bad guy per se. Though there's no excuse for the voice they gave him.
How is my little Persephone?
Oh, please. Some god of the underworld you are.
Perhaps I wield my power in a subtler way.
While hiding out in your plush palace all day.
Yes, well, that's where I plan to spend many an hour while you luxuriate in the dungeons of Tartarus for eternity.
But sometimes it's just how the characters look. Would you believe this is supposed to be Apollo? Yeah, Apollo! Oh, and look at Dionysus.
And finally, if my calculations are correct... Uh-oh.
Dionysus, are you okay?
Terrific! But your experiment was a total failure, I know. But every failure carries in it the seeds of success.
Why'd they make him so goofy? Also, apparently he's a scientist now.
Isn't he still... No, he's recently turned his chemistry skills to more useful pursuits.
But now I must show you the most baffling one of all. There's no gentle way to introduce this, so, ladies and gentlemen, Hercules.
You should lay off the donuts, Hercules. You're getting soft.
Children, I'd like you to meet Artemis and Hercules.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, look at you! Now, as your mentor, I am trying to boost your confidence, Harry.
What? Why does Hercules look like someone's unemployed uncle? At least Disney's Hercules got the character's look right, and that movie was barely accurate to the myth. Also, when I first heard him, I seriously thought he was voiced by John Goodman.
I'm related to you?
Well, think of me as your great-grandpa.
But you know what? That's not even the most shocking part of the series. There's a Christmas episode. Yeah, the Greek gods celebrating Christmas! Try wrapping your mind around that one!
Merry Christmas, everyone!
I think we're done. Okay, despite some of the questionable choices, like I said before, I really liked this show. It had great action, it was very creative, and you got to see characters from different stories interact and even duke it out sometimes. Yeah, you might consider that fan fiction, but I think it's done well. Besides, there have been worse adaptations of Greek mythology. Ahem. If you're a fan of Greek mythology, I definitely recommend it. Unfortunately, only the first half of Season 1 was ever released on DVD, which is why some of the footage in this video looks bad. As far as I know, the only other way you can see this show is how I found it. While randomly flipping through the channels one day, I found a network called Cubo, which seems to be targeted towards much younger kids, so they have a lot of shows I've never heard of. Although they do play some old favorites, like Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. But it's what they show after midnight that shocked me. They have a 4-hour block of old Filmation cartoons. He-Man, She-Ra, Brave Star, and Ghostbusters. Boy, I never thought I'd see these shows on TV ever again. But right after that is when I found Class of the Titans. Okay, I'm not claiming this to be the greatest show ever, but it deserves a hell of a lot better than following Filmation's Ghostbusters at 4 a.m. on an obscure cable network. I certainly hope this show was treated better in Canada. And speaking of series that were treated badly, join us next time when we revisit everyone's favorite decade, the 80s, and we meet a team of robots from space that... what's the word? You know when you, like, alter your appearance or change your shape? Like, what was that called again? I'm sure it'll come to me.
Man, where are we? It sure looks bleak.
Canada.